Hi everyone, we're here with Kai-sama, an Ayahuasca Maestra who facilitates ayahuasca ceremonies and uses music to heal people in those ceremonies. So we're here to talk with her about how she does that during her ceremonies. So I'm JD, I'm a statistician and music therapist here to offer statistically significant support. If you don't mind hitting those like and subscribe buttons so that you can get the support as it comes out. So Kai, you studied to be a shaman, or a maestro, to facilitate ayahuasca ceremonies. So can you tell me about your background, about how you came about doing that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on your show. I
Thank
feel
you.
really honored to be here and very happy to share my experiences with you. To answer your question, I started off exploring the shamanic side of spiritual development, spiritual unfoldment, and I just listened to my intuition, and it led me to Peru, where I participated in a number of ayahuasca ceremonies. And in those ceremonies, ayahuasca specifically showed me that I would lead ceremonies and sing Icaros. And I'm sure, a lot of people have come out of their ceremonies saying the exact same thing. And I am actually doing it. I've listened to the call of ayahuasca, gone through an initiation training, been initiated. I have dieted a number of plants, learned the Shipibo tradition, really have developed my relationship with the plant doctors and ayahuasca. They work hand in hand together in ayahuasca ceremonies. And through that relationship, they have taught me directly how to channel them in ceremonies. So it's a very long and involved journey, but in a nutshell, that's how I got here.
That's amazing. So you were with the Shipibo tribe, learning the Shipibo tradition of how to facilitate all of this.
There's a very well known and respected maestro named Don Enrique, and his center is called Incancana in the Amazon jungle, right outside of Iquitos. And he trains primarily Westerners by the direction of ayahuasca, despite other Shipibo advising him against it, not wanting to share what their ancient wisdom with outsiders. So he is the one who taught a number of initiates throughout the years, and they've gone out into the world wherever they come from to offer ayahuasca ceremonies in the Shipibo tradition.
Fascinating. So is the intent to get ayahuasca out there, and what end?
I don't know if you're familiar with the Ayahuasca Manifesto. It's
Mm-mm.
something that's available online. If you put in a Google search Ayahuasca Manifesto, there's about a 40-page document that many believe is channeled, very similar to how someone might channel a song, get divine inspiration for a song. This was just channeled, a work of ayahuasca, just outlining her intentions, how to spread her medicine to a wider group of people outside of the Amazon, why it's needed, how it would be facilitated, how to incorporate Westerners, the benefits of doing so, even down to the nitty gritty structure of a ceremony. How many participants per facilitator?
Oh wow.
Very specific. It's something that I would recommend everyone read just
Okay.
to get a sense of where ayahuasca's heart is, her intentions, and that it is the purpose of the plants. Really, we're acting on behalf of the plants themselves, including ayahuasca. Kind of like we've been directed, we've been called on this mission in a sense. Like we're going into spiritual battle, we're being called, and these are our marching orders. These are the battle plan in a sense. So it's from that perspective, and it's interesting because when I work with ayahuasca and the training that I've had directly with her, it's very militant. It's very interesting. It has a military like feel,
Okay.
tone to her teachings and her directions.
So ayahuasca, it sounds like, is a plant that really wants to expand and grow and get out there as far and wide as possible.
Yes, because the need is so great. And not everyone can go to the Amazon. And I know there are people who think, oh, if you're serious about this, you should go to the Amazon, make the effort and go there. And to a sense, to a degree, that's true. There has to be that effort to demonstrate it, to show your commitment to your own healing. But that's not the case for everyone. And everyone deserves healing, whether it's a barrier with finances or taking weeks off to travel to another country for very practical, legitimate reasons that have nothing to do with the sincerity of someone's healing. There are definite barriers to people receiving this medicine in the jungle. And there is, the need, I guess, outweighed that mark of sincerity by traveling great distances. Like the overall need to expand this medicine, to have carriers of this medicine through the Western facilitators, that just outweighed the fact that, yes, to a certain degree, showing your sincerity and your commitment to yourself by actually investing the money and setting aside the time to go to the jungle, that just outweighed it because there's such a need to rapidly expand this consciousness and to heal people one by one is why there is like this call to action by ayahuasca to just disseminate, to train the ones who've been called to go out and reach their own communities, spread the medicine within their own communities and heal.
So it is a very healing plant, but for those who don't know what it is, can you briefly describe what ayahuasca is and what it's good for healing for?
So ayahuasca has multiple thousand-year history of being native to the Amazon, purely because that it thrives in a certain climate. The Amazon and places like it, that's the right environment for it to thrive. Ayahuasca itself is a vine, but it's also a leaf called chacruna. And so combined together, it creates the ayahuasca brew. So even though there's the ayahuasca vine, it has to be combined with the chacruna leaf, which contains the DMT, which is the visionary component of the medicine, with the ayahuasca vine, which is the MAOI inhibitor, enabling us to have those visions. So it has a host of benefits. One being that it has the ability to, the ego death is something that people really focus on, but it's essentially the ability to put the ego at rest. So it's not this active main driver to your view of reality. It's not the main captain of the ship, so that it doesn't color everything from this lens of this ego-based perspective where it's you driven, it's my identity centered. Everything that I'm experiencing is through the lens of my ego. That's one aspect of us. What ayahuasca does so well as other entheogens, is to put that perspective, that lens to the side for the moment, allowing you enough time to see the world through different lens that you are not accustomed to, because your everyday is driven by this ego. So that in itself is a valuable lesson in understanding that we're so multifaceted. There are different elements to our being that have not been focused on, gets completely ignored, wants to have, to take up residence in our vessel, the acknowledgement that they deserve. So on that level, it's a really valuable tool to help us see through different eyes aspects of ourselves, so that we're not seeing through a tunnel. We don't have this tunnel vision. Our view is more expansive, and we can look at things differently. Our thought forms start to reshape, to reconfigure themselves with this expanded view. We're not necessarily locked in this one narrow viewpoint, and some things that we look at maybe aren't as important. Maybe how we view things can be looked at in a different way. And it's just that ability to see differently. I think that's so valuable. And it makes us not so attached to our emotions when it involves how we interpret certain experiences in our lives, how we interpret how we view ourselves, where we come from, what our purpose might be, our different traumas. It's just a different way of analyzing, processing all of those things that usually plague us in such a weighty, negative way that isn't productive. The other aspect is on a frequency energetic level, it can be very healing, especially through the Icaros that comes through. The different plants are coming through. They work side by side with ayahuasca. They bring in songs of medicine. And in the different pitches that get introduced, the tones, the delivery, on a deeper level, on a cellular level, DNA level, they are doing spiritual surgery. And, that's something that I find remarkable because with so many of other people's experiences, even with ayahuasca, they comment about the ego death, but they can also assign their experiences to an altered state or even like themselves being reflected in a magnified way, their own thoughts through the aid of ayahuasca or psilocybin or iboga or whatever it is that they are working with. But in this context, there are actual spirits who are coming for the participants specifically. They have Icaros that are designed specifically for the participants to work on their individual issues.
And the Icaros are the channeled songs that are coming from the spirits.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, and that's also an unfamiliar aspect of ayahuasca ceremonies, I believe. There are so many different facilitators out there. Some people will have a playlist and they will hit play, and then that is the extent of the ceremony, where the already planned playlist is guiding the experience for people. And then you have other people who are singing live, but they are singing Icaros that they might have been given permission to use by a maestro or maestra, or they have also been given directly through the plants songs to use during ceremony. But these are songs that might be memorized, but sung in ceremony in a way where the plants are, to a certain degree, coming through and helping that facilitator carry the music through in the delivery, in the certain emphasis on words, in a different feminine energy, for instance, or masculine energy. The same song might be sung, but depending on who is coming through, it might have a very different energy to it. Channeling is a different form of music that's utilized in ayahuasca ceremonies. It's different in the sense that the maestra or maestro, serving as a clear vessel, has a foot in the higher dimensions and a foot in this realm, our 3D reality, so that he or she serves as a bridge between all of the different dimensions, so that the plants can come through and do the healing work that they are meant to do for the participants who come for ceremony. So the maestro, I'll just use maestra ongoing, so you know that we're referring to all different types. So the maestra is being utilized as an instrument herself because the consciousness, the energy, the personality, the songs of the plants are coming through the maestra, through her body, in the different hand gestures that's being done, through her vocal cords, through her words, through her expression. So she is the tool that they use in order to express themselves in the 3D world, in the actual ayahuasca ceremonies themselves. So the maestro has no control over what is going to be sung, at what frequency, what delivery, how loud it will be, who it's directed towards, how long it will last, if it's going to be a mantra sung over and over again in a repetitive fashion to bring forward a trance-like state for the participants, or even that looping. Some people think looping is a negative, but it kind of is a reflection of reality in a sense. It's kind of like a quickened way of showing, look, we're all part of a cycle. Nothing really dies and is reborn. It just is a repetitive aspect of our reality where we go through different seasons and cycles over and over again. It's kind of like a sped up way of looking at it so that we can see it clearly. It's not this long drawn out way of looking at it. We can see it very evidently when it's sped up like that. And I think that's one of the tools that they use. And some people might consider it looping. And yes, there is this element of, you get stuck in the pattern over and over again, you can't get out of. But the key is you can get out of it. You have to get out of it, whether it's in ceremony or outside of ceremony. You have to find the tools within yourself to do it. And so what ayahuasca does, what she has told me is this is a valuable tool. It clearly exhibits for the participant what is going on, what are the repeated patterns, how is this a never-ending cycle, and you have to find your way out of it. You have to be lost. You have to feel like you're in a spiral, leading to an abyss. That dire of a situation for you to emerge out of it. You have to find the tools yourself. And then when you find yourself in that repeated cycle where you're back at square one, lost, you know how to get out of it. You know that it's been done before. You've been here before. You remember. So going back to the channeling.
Well, so just a big question about how it's structured, because you mentioned this. The idea is you want to get lost in the ceremony, and the music is designed to be iterative so that you can get lost. Having listened to some, it's almost like it's putting you in a trance-like state, an altered state, because it is so repetitive. So what you're saying is because that repetition is by design to get you lost in your own head, so that you can figure your way out.
That's one of many possibilities. One of their reasons to structure it in a certain way. So there are other strategies that they utilize, like they might have, like Chirksanongo, for instance, that's one of the plant doctors, come in forcefully to break down the programming that you might have all around you that is ingrained in your being, that's preventing you from seeing clearly and widening your horizons. He might come in a very angry way, and some people might be, oh my God, is somebody mad at me? Then they might be turned off by that. However, it's just their way of chipping away at that huge wall that's been erected, that's blocking the medicine from penetrating. There's an element of being shattered, breaking through the barriers, done in a forceful way, maybe a higher pitch, and it's just, meeting the resistance with an equal amount of force. That's how it gets transmuted. It gets worked through. And so on that level, there's that type of work that I've seen being done by the plants through channeling. And it's interesting for me because yes, I might not know what they're going to do, what Icaros they're going to sing. However, because I'm being trained by them, they want me to train other people. They're making sure that I am very cognizant and aware of what's going on. And so many times I'm able to see what's going on. And they're also telling me what they're doing, why they're doing it. They're there. They are in control of what's going on. I am merely the vessel. And I get to learn. And it's been interesting because I have been training other people and they've just come into my life. It's been really serendipitous how it's happened. But I know for sure that the plants have orchestrated it all for me to learn from them, but to also learn how to teach others how to channel. Because like in the Ayahuasca Manifesto, they want to extend their reach all over the globe. They want this type of medicine, this type of ceremony, through the channeling to expand as well. And that's one thing that I do find that's lacking in some of the initiation training is that emphasis. And I know that there are people who train for a number of years, and I feel as though a lot of their training is to clear themselves, but also to develop their intuition and their psychic abilities. Because I have been doing that for a number of years. I feel like my training started back in 2012. I have been doing that. I have been connecting to my guides. I have been used to navigating the different dimensions. I have been accessing altered states very effortlessly. Ayahuasca has just shown me what I have already known in a magnified way. For me, working with ayahuasca is very much like a shamanic journey. It's just 100 times magnified, the intensity of it. There's less of an ability to just open my eyes, stop listening to the drum beat, bring my awareness back to myself. There's less control. In that sense, if one finds him or herself in a jam, there's less of that ability to, okay, let me just run away from something that has come up, an aspect of myself, a shadow or subconscious aspect that I've been burying all this time, and it's difficult to address. Ayahuasca helps you, and this goes back to another one of her benefits. She is a master of going into the shadow, going into trauma, going into a lot of our 3D based emotions, issues that have a home here. She's great to drastically address those within us. And whatever we are hiding from, it's hard to hide from her. It's hard to hide from the plants. It's like being dropped into the ocean and being enveloped by this huge, massive, formidable wave, this body of water that obviously, without a doubt, is greater by sheer force than our bodies can handle. We are going to get swept up in it. There's nowhere to outrun. There's no ability to do that. You will have to come face to face with that massive being. Surrender. That's one of the benefits of working with ayahuasca. There's nowhere to hide. You've come here for healing, and you will face yourself.
Very powerful. And ayahuasca is a very powerful plant. So you mentioned that the way you're using music, it's very live and in the moment, and it can alter at any time, so that you're meeting the need of the clients as it happens. But you also mentioned there are other facilitators who use recorded music or pre-scripted Icaros. And in music therapy, we have a similar concept of we're playing live to meet the patient, and we can adjust it as needed. But sometimes we need to bring in canned recorded songs because that meets the client better where they are. And sometimes we just don't know that song. But can you go into about why you're doing live music rather than canned or written out prescribed songs?
And what you're describing with the pre-recorded music, it is guided in a sense that, oh my goodness, this song was composed to create an emotion, to plant that seed within a person. However, it is planned. It was pre-planned. It was created outside of this moment. And they definitely have its uses, especially if you have kind of this strategy of how to kind of manipulate the outcome, like drive someone's emotions or get that person to focus on something that might be hard to focus on in any other way. The difference is in an ayahuasca ceremony, live, especially channeled live, is the energy is coming directly from the ceremony space. There's no preconceived, pre-bottled, pre-packaged, especially one that might be intended for the masses in a general sense. It is very specific to that individual. Whatever that individual is coming in to work with will be addressed by the plants through their music, through their Icaros. It's not something that has ever been experienced in the past in another ceremony. That's why the Icaros are never the same. And that's something I've discovered. Yes, there might be similarities, and there might be medicine in certain phrases and melodies, but I've noticed that they're not the same. Every single ceremony I have been facilitating, channeling the plants, nothing has been the same. No two nights have been the same. So no two nights have been the same. I marvel at the complexity, the technology behind it, the skill that's involved by the plants. Like, they're doing exactly what they were meant to be doing. We all talk about having a purpose, and they've even told me this. They've told me, we need you. We need you to serve as the anchor into this 3D plane, into these ceremonies, so that we could come in and do what we were meant to do. It's as though they're retired rock stars from the 60s and they're going on their reunion tour. And they might be a little rusty here and there, but once they get in the zone, this is what they were meant to do. And this is the music they were meant to create in whatever healing capacity, whether it's the Rolling Stones, or it's the Plant Doctors. They're shining. This is their moment. This is where they can only be. So in many ways, they've told me, yes, we need you. We need you to be on board with this plan, and you to be clear as possible. We'll help you do that. And if we have to find a place, an Airbnb to hold ceremonies, we'll have you. We'll make sure that happens. So and they call the right people who are meant to be at ceremonies, and the ones who might be interested but are not ready, they also have been able to put barriers in the way to prevent them from coming, because they're very specific, and that's why you cannot record this. They don't even want to be recorded. This moment will never happen again, because we're constantly changing as energetic beings. We're constantly moving and evolving, and it's never going to be the same moment, the same medicine. There will always be medicine. There will always be an Icaros. The channeling will always happen, and the plants have told me that. There's no need to record, because the moment has passed. And then the next moment will require a different Icaros, a different team even, a different set of participants. You cannot duplicate it. It won't be utilized in the same way. And it's similar to a recording, where every recording, it degrades the quality a little bit. The same mindset, the same ideas in play here, where that was the moment. And there's no fear of the plants not coming through, or having an Icaros, or providing medicine, or living their purpose. It's not the scarce commodity that needs to be, bottled up, recorded to replay again, because that will not apply to that future moment. It won't be that medicine for that future moment. It is the medicine right now, where that person is, where that group, a collective group consciousness is as well. And so that's just a different way of looking at it, I guess. Like how we just want things to be possessed, to be recalled over and over again. And
so we can of it. But it sounds like the plants really want you to be mindful and present and in the moment.
Exactly. Because every moment is different. Every need is different for each person. Even if they come back ceremony after ceremony, every ceremony is different. And it requires a different set of Icaros, a different team of doctors, different structure to the ceremony.
So each Icaros, the same Icaros, is different from ceremony to ceremony. You can meet the person where they're at and get them to where they need to be. But earlier you said that the Icaros are designed to be repetitive so that they can get and go back to things that they need to address. So if somebody's coming into the ceremony on 2 different nights, why wouldn't you use the same Icaros in the same way to get them back to where they need to be?
Yeah. I've noticed that the ceremonies, they want them to be small, because every ceremony, they're usually working on one of the participants. They're working on everyone. They might have some time devoted to each participant, but then they might be working on one person primarily. I've noticed that. And I notice it because they're also telling me to direct the energy through my hands to individuals. That's how I know. And also to sing in the direction of certain participants. I have no idea. I want to sing to this individual over there in this corner because I'm more comfortable, or my voice will carry more. I don't think along those lines. They're directing me the entire ceremony, and the repetition to trance-like state. For every ceremony, you want to create that, or you want to invoke that consciousness to create what they call the meriacion, the visionary state. So in that visionary state, it's kind of similar to the shamanic drumming or the rattling, where you're creating that repetitive sonic driver to get your mind relaxed enough, this carrier through the sound into altered states where the visions are held. And once you are crossing over into that space and are staying there, and ayahuasca works in waves too. So she'll give you a break, and you'll go right back into a deep, deep visionary state. And so the repetition helps to do that. But the repetition, depending on the goal, can also chip away at blocks, resistance, stagnancy within a person, stubbornness, or maybe like, a tenacious, what somebody might call demon, you know what I mean? Like some attachment that somebody might have that is really difficult to wedge out. It might seem like a repetition, but it's like a hammer, a jackhammer, just really at it, breaking through. But it also can be this hypnotic state, really creating that environment where you can just ride right into the altered state and have those visions. And the Icaros themselves will help create those visions for you, really bring them forward into your awareness.
Can you go more into that?
Yeah, the plants have such an amazing intelligence. I've witnessed it myself through my own journeys, my own work with ayahuasca and the plants. They want to be effective. So you might have a set idea of what you want to work on. You have your intentions and they're sincere, and you feel as though this is what's going to get me to the next, over the hurdle. And I can really soar. But the plants already have a different idea of what you need to work on that's going to stick. That's done incrementally based on where you are in your spiritual development. They know what you need to focus on. And they also know what you can take. So they are medicine. Sometimes it can come harshly. It can be bitter. But then once you realize how much it's working in your system and how good it is for you and the improvements, then you start coming out the other side and have that perception of healing and betterment. They are working behind the scenes on so many levels, from figuring out who's going to be there, directing and calling those people there, to the actual ceremonies themselves, to what they will be singing, and what type of visions will that produce for the individuals. And remember, yes, it's individual, but it's also collective. So there are two things working at the same time. We each have a hand in holding that space, having that experience, that shared experience, the shared energy. One person's energy might influence another person's experience. The plants are controlling, they are managing the energy as well with their singing, with their Icaros. So many things are going on. It's the intelligence that I cannot dare. I would have to humble myself and admit that I cannot explain it all to you. Everything that they're doing, it is so refined, it's so technical, it's surgical. It is like they are the master doctors in what they call the plant hospital. And they are working on each individual based on what they need. So, and it's through their songs, through their singing, their Icaros, that it's done on an energetic level, on a deep, deep level, in altered states, in other dimensions, working on lineage, working on past lives, working on your deepest traumas, changing your neural pathways, your thought forms, how you see reality. That is shifted with these little tweaks here, a little refinement there, and they do it through their Icaros. It's amazing.
What benefits are you seeing with your clients, and how do you know that the Icaros have helped them achieve those benefits?
One is connecting. When they are connecting with the music, they've been purging, they have done a bit of processing, and some of it is purging. It is the actual physical purging of throwing up in a bucket. But it also could be shaking your body. It could be yawning. It could be tearing. It could be singing. It could be experiencing the energy as it's flowing through your body through movement. So when you're receiving the medicine and you are accepting it and it's moving through you, it's releasing all of that stagnant energy in your joints, in your gut, in your mind, where things have been blocked. And so when I see people connecting directly with the music and dancing, I know that they have so much of their blocks have been removed, that they're able to connect on that level. And in their movements, in their singing, in their recognition of the medicine in itself, so much of the layers have been removed. Other people I have seen that, they have really not been able to address maybe one issue in their life. You know, maybe they've been able to manage, but they just haven't been able to really get to the heart of maybe a pattern of theirs or a feeling of theirs or a soul loss that they might be exhibiting, but they might not know it's a soul loss. But then working with ayahuasca, they were able to have a memory that they had suppressed of their childhood, or realize that they've been focusing so much on one aspect of their past, they completely forgot about another that was healing. And they realized maybe the fault, or the trauma lies within me, or my ability to call it up and only put my awareness on it. And it now is within my control to shift that point of awareness, so that that person can see the fuller picture, and it now takes on a different meaning, and the weight is off, the oppressive quality has been removed. So I've seen that happening, where it's like this aha moment, this ability to call up emotions that haven't been remembered in so long, since childhood, being able to see maybe a different perspective, how your actions have affected others, because the ego is so locked into driving that bus for us. We don't see any other way but through the ego's eyes. And sometimes when we are given that perspective of how our actions affect others, our habits will change. Your how you relate to another person changes. The whole dynamic of that exchange completely shifts. The energy shifts. It's a higher vibration. It's operating along those lines now. It's been transformative for people. There's one person in particular. Her DNA has been unlocked. She's been able to channel. It's like she is this fledgling bird being born into the world for the first time, learning how to sing, really getting acquainted with the voice, opening up her throat chakra, allowing that ego to step to the side to bring in other energies through the vessel. I find that remarkable. It's like, and then in that state, to be connected to consciousness that are not available otherwise, because this realm has not been able to hold it, but it can be held in the ceremony space, to be in contact with that and to have that ripple through your being, to hold those consciousness and to bring it back to this reality. That is what a shaman does. Gets information, gets medicine from a higher dimension, and then brings it back to the people and to the 3D person here, to live better lives, to live in harmony with earth, to develop your psychic abilities, your intuitive abilities, to unlock those gifts within us that seem supernatural. It's all possible. I've seen it. It's been amazing. After every ceremony, I actually go to my soul playing spot and I'm in tears, full of gratitude, because I am constantly, I don't want to say shocked, because the plants tell me what's going to happen. I just say, okay. I wait for it to happen. And when it does, the magnitude of it's beyond words, beyond my imagination. And every time I walk into ceremony, I'm amazed. Like just recently with these recent ceremonies, they told me exactly what was going to happen, what they're going to work on for each participant. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, it's because I know them. Of course, this is what they're going to work on. It's a part of me projecting. But then when it actually is happening, I feel more confident about the relationship and the communication I have with the plants. And I know exactly, like they have an agenda and they're executing it. They're satisfied with themselves, I'm sure. that they're able to accomplish what they set out in service to others for the people who are asking for help. I know they feel a satisfaction. And when the participants meet them halfway and they surrender and they allow the medicine to work, I know they are proud of them.
It's amazing what you're doing with the Icaros and the ayahuasca, and having seen you do it, the music really does put you in a trance-like state. And I'm often in awe at your ability to just sing for hours without taking any water.
Remember, JD, it is not me.
Right.
I cannot get credit. And I know it's hard because you see me. I'm the only one there. Some people have been able to see the plants and they see the kana, the Icaros, the lines of energy connecting everyone. It's been interesting to see their perspective of what they actually see. And it's those people who don't claim that I'm singing. They all say, the plants, I saw the plants. They were singing as if I have been transformed, whether it's the color that I exude, or they actually see the plants and how they are represented to them. Or they see the frequency, the bands of energy that's coming from me. That's actually, that's because it's the Icaros. The Icaros, that's the visual demonstration for ones who can see of the medicine, of the reach that's going on, the healing surgery that's going on. It's very complicated. Like right from the beginning with the protection song, with ayahuasca building that protective nest all around us, to Noyorao with her solid, huge trunk right in the middle so I can see it, guiding me, reminding me to keep my line straight and remember my dietas so the plants can come through to their fullest ability. So I'm not meandering with my thoughts, or I'm not thinking about myself or what I'm learning. And I remember one time I was so into the experience and I was so grateful. And I remember telling them, oh my God, I'm learning so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. And then they told me, it's not about you. Snap out of it. Get centered. We're telling you what thoughts to say, and it's not about you. We're not telling you to say those thoughts. You need to direct these thoughts into the field. And so they were kind of setting me straight, even though I'm like, isn't gratitude of a high vibration? You know what I mean? Like, even I can meander and get off track and be distracted by just the sheer magnitude of being awestruck, you know? And the key is, and they remind me, keep your lines straight so they can come through to the fullest capacity of healing that they can, the strength of their energetic force, their consciousness in this realm. This higher consciousness in this realm. Did I answer your question?
You did, but you also mentioned the kana, which I've been wanting to bring up. So those are the bands of energy that some people can see during the ayahuasca ceremony. What I've read from Shipipo books is that the Shipipo tribe would see these bands of energy, make them into tapestries so that other people could see them.
Exactly.
And then those came from singing those bands of energy from the tapestry.
Yeah. Well, the Icaros themselves create those bands. So that's what people see. And they see them in ceremony, but they also see them in their dream state. So the people who make the tapestries, they've even been said that they just see them. And they're actually just creating what they see. And that's a form of channeling as well. Like somebody might draw the Icaros. They don't necessarily have to hear it, but they're getting a transmission. The drawings themselves, the representation in physical form, is medicine as well. And the Icaros is just the audio. It's what is stretching, you know, throughout the different dimensions. It's that connective tissue, but it's also, you know, there's just something, and maybe this is where your expertise will come in. It's the music has its medicine where it touches certain areas of our spiritual being on a cellular level, on a DNA level. It unlocks, it rewires, it soothes, it brings forth certain emotions, it empowers, it recalls. So many levels of healing that's involved. And so, like,
biopsychosocial spiritual approach. It affects everything about you.
Yeah, and so they know that, and that's their strongest tool. It comes with it. like things that we don't normally see. It's the energetic waves that are rippling through, that are connecting everything. Every participant is connected to me as the maestra, and I am connected to the plants. The whole room seems like it's electrified. Like the people who can't see, they'll it's like a light show. It's like the sacred geometry. It's everything connected through this energetic. It's kind of like when we think about the earth and the ley lines and how we're all connected. But there are these pulsating, intensified infusion of energy, these pathways of energy throughout the earth that kind of strengthen it, that kind of make it all happen. Like all of our psychic moments, all of our intuitive milestones, all of our abilities. The fact that we can hold consciousness is because there's this strong bandwidth of energy that's supporting it. That's what the energetic field within the ayahuasca ceremonies that are created by the plants through their Icaros. But even before the ceremony even begins, I've been told by people who can see, like people who are very like intuitive and connected, they can already see ayahuasca creating the grid, creating that protective nest, the presence of the plants, where they're focusing their attention, different participants, how they're kind of like, even with my hands, they have me do all these movements with my hands. Like you've been in ceremony with me. I don't know if you've been noticing or you're in your space, but I am like doing all these things, and I've been told that it's just, I'm putting the coordinates in place where the different outputs of energy will be directed. So within the room, with the consideration of the participants, where they are positioned, what's needed. Like I'm not gonna dare to say I understand, like I said earlier, exactly what's going on, but they have this intelligence and they're working through me with my hands, and I'm putting things in place, putting thoughts in my head so I can introduce it to the collective field, and through the songs, through the Icaros and singing. And I think what I was meaning to say earlier, when you said, oh, you can't believe I can't drink water and how long I've been singing, it's not me at all. I sing and I use my breath and I get tired and winded and I need a break and my voice might crack. It doesn't happen with them. It is like, wow. Like it's just hard to fathom the skill vocally, the range, the dexterity of their voice, the penetrating quality, and that they don't need water. That's how come I can say it's supernatural. If it was just me, oh no, I could not do that. I don't know anyone who could do that. Like 3 nights in a row for hours every night, the way that they're singing, the energy that's being introduced, I don't know. And in many ways, I get energized because I have to, in order to maintain or to contain that energy, I have to create energy. I have to make sure it's constantly flowing through me so that it's their energy flowing through me. It's their Icaros, their frequency and their consciousness. It has to go through and not get stuck where I am. Cannot be bottled up. Cannot have a bottleneck, a gridlock of energy within me. That's where that concept of being that hollow bone, that clear vessel comes in for the maestra. And that's why I say the work is not just in ceremony, it is outside in ceremony. Everything we do, the soul playing, the diettas, the meditation, setting the intentions, the preparation that's involved, and just clearing our space so that we're not collecting energies all the time to be cleared. Being as pure as possible, opening up our chakras so that the energy will flow through fluidly, their energy, their medicine. So yes, all credit goes to the plants. I always had to correct people who it's natural because it's me. I'm the only physical embodiment. And I think that's why I got into the other discussion about what people can see. Some people can see, some people can't. The ones who can't, they only see me. They see me like moving my arms and they think it's just me singing, but it's the plant singing. I have no control. It's not me at all.
So to say it a different way, it's impressive how clear of a channel you are. This has been fascinating. I love talking about this and how different people use different music and how it comes about. We only have a few minutes left, so as we wrap up, are there any final thoughts you'd like to say, and how can people reach out to you if they're interested in working with you?
Well, in addition to the ayahuasca ceremonies, I guess it was possible for them to go through you, because I only, it's not like I have a website. It's not like I can be outspoken about this in public. Perhaps people can find me through you. Is that possible?
That's
And then,
possible.
and then you can vet them and make sure.
Yeah.
It's
They,
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not in the position where I have a website. And here you can contact me, and I can tell you more about my ayahuasca offerings. The plants definitely want to work with particular people, and they end up finding me. If you are listening to this and you're drawn to this type of medicine, it's not for everyone. Within ayahuasca ceremonies, I consider this the highest form of energetic healing. Of all the different versions it could be, this requires a certain skill by the maestra. It requires a deep and trusting relationship between the maestra and the plant. It requires the maestra to have dieted the plants beforehand and being committed to that process, that tradition. There's so much wrapped up into it in the tradition, and it's fascinating in and of itself. And I love talking about it. For people who are called, they need to be honest about what they're going to enter. It's a high infusion of energy. It is massive, like major surgery is how I like to term it, to describe it as. It's not lightweight. It's not, let me just dip my water in. It is going into the ocean fully. And that takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of sincere intention to heal and discard the traumas. All that you know. It could even mean discarding your identity, your safety blanket, even if those safety blankets are wrapped around traumatic events, negative thought forms, is it at least is something that you know and are familiar with. Ayahuasca has the capacity to take you into so many different places, but it's also emblematic of the fact that we are very dynamic beings. We are capable of doing so much. And another great aspect of ayahuasca is the ability to unlock those abilities within us. I could have never channeled before this journey, not as quickly as I have been developing. I also know that the plants want me to teach, and I'm interested in very sincere people who are interested in learning. So that's another group of people who if they want to reach out, can reach out to you to get a hold of me. If they want to learn, one directive that I have been given by the plants is to teach, because I cannot be the one of few people doing this, especially outside of the jungle, because it's not necessarily taught to the Westerners going into the jungle from what I've seen. And it's not as understood as it should be, because psychic development, intuitive development, art clairs, they're just not accepted on a general level anyway, But here's clear evidence. I could not have done this, at least to myself, and at least the people who grew up with me, and they're seeing me, and they're like, "How is this possible? Never thought you could sing." It's not me singing. There's something else going on. There's a higher intelligence, not me. There is something else greater than us intervening, helping, doing surgery on us, for our betterment, individually and collectively. So it's something that they want to expand upon. They want me to teach others who are called to do this work. And then, to go through the whole process, what it means to be a clear channel, what that takes, because it is not easy. So yes, they can get to me through you.
Awesome. And if you're interested, you can leave a comment down below. You can also email me at HogueMT, that's HOGUE, M as in Mary, T as in Todd, at gmail.com. And I can get you in contact with Kaye. So, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. I love this. I learn more and more every time I talk to you.
And the plants love it. They're like, they want to be so integrated in this realm and every opportunity. And it's not just in song, they come through me outside the ceremony too. It's been quite a partnership, quite a sharing of this vessel with them. And I thank you. I thank you for your bravery and your commitment to incorporating music into all aspects of healing. And that itself is something that is groundbreaking and needs to be spread as well.
Mm-hmm.
Music of all forms is medicine.
And that's what music therapists are here to do, is to help facilitate that. So Again, thank you so much. And for everyone listening to this, if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you want more content like this, if you want Kaye to come back, hit that subscribe button, and so that you can still have that statistically significant support as it comes out. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.